All right, we got a quorum. Let's get this Dumfries Town Council meeting of Tuesday, April 6, 2021, 7 p.m. Let's call this meeting to order. Can we have the roll call, please?
Councilman Brown.
Present.
Councilman Fields. Councilwoman Miles.
Here.
Councilwoman Neville.
Present.
Councilman Pete. Vice Mayor Nickerson. Mayor Wood.
Present. All right, we'll have a moment of private prayer and reflection, and we'll follow that by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. All right. Please allow me to lead us in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, I welcome a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So move. Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilwoman Miles, second by Vice Mayor Nickerson. Seeing no discussion, I'll call for the question. Councilman Fields?
Aye.
All right, Councilwoman Neville?
Aye.
Councilwoman Miles?
Aye.
Councilman Brown? Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, and that's a yes for me. The agenda carries 6-0. All right, next on our agenda is the approval of the March 16th minutes. Everybody have opportunity to look over the minutes. Any changes or corrections? Okay, seeing none, we welcome a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Okay, moved by Councilman Brown.
Second.
All right, second by Vice Mayor. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call for the question. Yes, Vice Mayor.
I'm sorry, this is off topic. Mr. Rogers, Mr. Smith emailed that he is in view only mode. I don't know if he's supposed to have access to be a part of the meeting along with Ms. Gillum.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I don't know what that means. Is he in the attendees section?
Yeah, he's Dr. Yeah, we'll get to that. Give me 1 second.
Okay, I apologize.
I'm in the middle of a motion, so let me just finish this motion. Okay, I'm calling for Councilman Brown.
Aye.
All right, Councilwoman Miles.
Aye.
Councilwoman Neville.
Aye.
Councilman Fields.
Aye.
Vice Mayor.
Yes.
Okay, and that's a yes for me. All right, that motion carries. Where we at? Approval of the minutes, 6-0. All right. All right. Yeah, we see Mr. Hill, and who else did you say, Vice Mayor? Dr. Hill.
No, I was saying that I thought he was supposed to have access to the meeting along with Ms. Gillum, who I do see is here.
Okay, we'll get him in when we get to the presentation. All right, so next on the agenda is citizen comment. All right, if there are any citizens, and there's Councilman Pete, he's in the audience too. All right, if there's any citizens here wishing to make citizen comment, we ask that you, at this point, you raise your hand so we can see you. We'll bring you in and give you the opportunity to come in and spend. Community members, we want to allow you 3 minutes, and businesses will give you 5 minutes to present. All right. Can you bring in Miss Ebony Lofton? Hey, Ms. Lofton, the floor is yours.
Good evening, council. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. Again, my name is Ebony Lofton. I live on Milroy Drive in Dumfries. And first, I wanted to just give a big shout out to Vice Mayor Nickerson and Councilman Pete, as well as Councilwoman Neville, who wasn't able to make it, but called about South Cove HOA's Easter basket giveaway. It was a huge success. We had so much fun, and it was wonderful to have community involvement from all areas. So I really appreciate that. And I wanted to take this time, I noticed the agenda item potentially may be related to a subject that is kind of close to me. And I wanted to get an opportunity to speak to the council. Back in January, I submitted an application to serve on the Planning Commission. I completed the required application and provided my resume and everything as indicated. Didn't hear back from anyone, but shortly after that, the appointment was on the agenda, and there was discussion by the town council about filling 2 positions with 3 people. As a matter of fact, the council went in closed session using one of the Virginia Codes 2.2-3711. It's unfortunate, number one, that I didn't get an opportunity to hear from anybody as to why I wasn't appointed or what the issues were or why someone in the community wouldn't have an opportunity to serve. But then more specifically, nearly the same time, I sent an email to the town council and titled it Questions, Comments, and Concerns. I certainly understand that I have a certain way with words, not always kind and sweet, but direct. And again, didn't really hear from anyone from the council other than a couple members in response to some very valid questions. I kind of feel like perhaps the response to my appointment or lack thereof to the Planning Commission was as a result of that. And I just wanted to share my own feelings that I think that is unfortunate. I think that as council members, you all have a responsibility to make sure that every citizen in this community has an opportunity to serve. If you have an issue with it, or really the process, because if you look at it, and I know I only have a little bit of time, but number one, my entire home address, email address, phone number, none of my information was redacted. And not only that, one of the applicants did not specifically state they wanted to apply for the Planning Commission. They didn't even submit an application. They just said, put me anywhere. So I really hope moving forward that as a council, even when you have citizens who don't agree with you, who are maybe make statements that you don't like, that you still reach out to them and try and get everybody a seat at the table. Thanks so much for your service to our community, and God bless.
God bless you. All right, next up, Miss Tony Thornton. The floor is yours. State your name and I guess your affiliation, please.
Good evening. My name is Tony Thornton. I am a community engagement manager for Strayer University. I don't know if many people know this or not, but Strayer University post-pandemic has reorganized their business. So I am actually formerly the campus director of the Woodbridge campus of Strayer University. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak to you all this evening. I just wanted to spread some awareness about a great scholarship opportunity that we do have for learners that do qualify. Am I able to share my screen? Yes. So this particular program is called our Fellows for Justice program. This program I like to refer to as a program that is kind of showing some love to our superheroes that are doing great things in the community. The Fellows for Justice program is created for learners that are active in the community that don't yet have a bachelor's degree. Of course, the students would need to, or learners would need to meet our admissions qualifications. Of course, have a high school diploma or a GED equivalency. You would need 2 letters of recommendation to kind of speak to what you are doing to be active in the community. But this does give students an opportunity to receive a full scholarship to complete a bachelor's degree within the university. So our bachelor's degrees are going to be in accounting, business administration, criminal justice, or information technology. On the accounting, business administration, criminal justice and information technology side, there are concentrations within within those programs. So again, this gives students an opportunity to complete an entire degree on us just based off of applying and putting yourself out there. Within this program or application process, you would also need to answer one of 3 questions up to 500 words regarding your involvement within the community. Strayer is not that of a traditional school, so we actually start 4 times per year. The information that I'm showing you all will reflect the quarter that just started yesterday. However, we have another quarter that is beginning on July 6th. So that is the quarter that I am here to represent in terms of this scholarship. It's a great opportunity. And typically with scholarships at the university level, your GPA needs to be something of a 3.0 or a 3.5. Our GPA requirement for this program is a 2.0. So I definitely think that this gives learners an opportunity to receive a scholarship that may not have the opportunity edgewise.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. If you send that to me, I can share that with all of the council.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you. All right, next on our agenda, make sure I got everybody in there. All right, next on our agenda is council comments. All right, Councilman Fields, do you have anything today?
Yes, I do. Good evening, fellow members of council, citizens, the ones that are viewing here with us today, and those viewing TV or however you're viewing with YouTube and so forth. First, I'd like to start off with mentioning, this past month, we've had some great leaders in our community to pass away. So Mr. Washington, Mr. Clyde Washington, who served on our council for some 28 years, a great leader, a great mentor. And also Mr. Al Brooks, a great leader and mentor to our community. So our continued condolences to those families. It's springtime, everyone, so be careful with your allergies and people just being out and about more, children playing and things like that. So keep awareness of that. COVID-19 vaccinations are still available. Please do your proper research. We have links on our page to get the proper research. And I spoke on something about this not too long ago with false information that's getting put out there. Please do your proper research. Go to the proper sources to get your information, the official sources, and stop believing the conspiracy theory hype. I've taken it, fully vaccinated. Members of my family have taken it. A number of us, on council has taken it, and we're doing fine and well. So I would like to for you to keep up with that. Earlier this week, I spoke with the town manager, and this is on our community policing efforts that we're doing, and I believe the police department is doing a great job. Something that greatly concerns me that will be in our future budget, and I would like to have a meeting with the police chief if he's listening, or town manager. Could you make that happen so that we can follow up on our body-worn cameras for the police department? That is in the budget for next year. We need to get up to speed on that, and I'm glad to hear that it's in the budget that we're doing so. So I'd like an in-depth conversation with the police chief. If he could reach out to me to set up a meeting for that, I greatly appreciate it. It is to protect not only our officers, but our citizens as well. So we need to be on top of that, and I'm looking forward to have those discussions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman DeVille.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to start by echoing Councilman Field's sentiments. My heart goes out to the families of Mr. Brooks and Mr. Washington. And I'd like to thank Smart Beginnings for their Guest Readers Week, which is going on this week. And my story was shared, so I'd like to thank them for that. I'd like to also thank them for all they do for early childhood education, literacy, and parent engagement. Their work is very important and it does go noticed and it's so needed. So I'm excited about everything they do. I'd also like to raise awareness to just the month of April. A lot of things are covered in April, and I'm sure some will be mentioned after I speak. So I will just take my time to focus on April being Sexual Assault Awareness Month. I am again partnering with ACTS Prince William County to raise awareness with Denim Day on social media, starting now, leading up to April 28th, which is Denim Day. And anyone can get involved by following my social media and ACTS. They will be sharing as well. And our hashtags are Denim Day, hashtag Denim Day 2021, hashtag Dumfries Denim Day. And I cannot talk about hashtags without resharing hashtag mask up Dumfries. Please mask up. People are going out, people are gathering. You still need to wear your mask, vaccinated or not. So please, let's stay safe. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Pete.
Yes, I just want to piggyback to what the other two councilmen were saying of the of Mr. Brooks and Miss Washington's husband. Also, passing want to send our condolences out to the family and to support, and if there's some things that we can assist them with, please do reach out. Again, also just thank you to the citizens as we are getting closer to maybe normalcy, if I as I would say, continue to wear your mask in these public areas. We've been doing a good job in the town of Dumfries, and I'm proud of our citizens and the government of how we're handling the pandemic through the whole year. We've been doing a great job. So again, as we starting to get it open a little more, I've taken the Johnson & Johnson vaccination. It's a little, it's a little rough on the first day. Not bad, but just going through the process. It took its course, and I've been doing fine. I took it last Thursday and been doing well with it. So do encourage, if you on the fence of making the decision to, would encourage you to get it, as it would only just help us protect ourselves as we're out and about. As we all want to, get into events and hanging out and doing more things of what we used to do. Well, there's a process, and let's just be safe first as we continue to do, town of Dumfries. And just want to say again, thank you to all the residents. As I'm going out and about, I'm seeing some ones have the Easter that just passed away, Resurrection Day, as some may call it. We gathered at some gathered at the park, had nice events going on for their families. So that was very nice to see. Also to the South Cole HOA for presenting their Easter basket giveaway. Seeing the vice mayor out there and a couple more of the families and the kids, man, just brought back the joy of where we used to be. So I was really excited to see that. Like I said, just brought me back to the old park and recreation days. So, again, as we continue to get closer to the things that we love to do, I'm gonna advise everyone to continue to be safe. That's all I have.
All right, Councilwoman Mouse.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, citizens. I would also like to extend my condolences to the family of Mr. Washington and Mr. Brooks. You are definitely in our thoughts and in our prayers. I'd like to give a special shout out to the Prince William County NAACP for their outreach efforts concerning the vaccine. I actually ran into a few members over the weekend who were going door to door to make sure some of our residents who don't have internet access or computer access could register for the vaccine and had the information that they needed to get signed up. So want to say thank you for that. Your work is greatly appreciated. Additionally, Councilwoman Neville hit on this earlier. April is Autism Awareness Month. And in the Autism Society, we actually celebrate Autism Acceptance Month. And the reason for that is that we had our self-advocates identify that they had a plenty of awareness, but there was not enough acceptance. So what they did was they approached the board and they said, We have awareness and we need more acceptance. So the Autism Society officially celebrates Autism Acceptance Month in the month of April. So the goal is to go from awareness to acceptance and acceptance to appreciation. So we will, with the help of everyone in the community and in the world, get to the appreciation. I also want to bring to the attention of our citizens that the TAA, which is a self-advocate group dealing with individuals with disabilities and self-advocates, will be holding their third and final event in the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion series. And there will be a panel discussion focusing on the intersection of race and disability rights. So it's going to be a very lively discussion, and it will be on Facebook Live on the Virginia Board for People with Disabilities Facebook page on April 16th at 12 p.m. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope that everyone who has an opportunity to look at it does take up on that and take this month to really learn about the disability community and the autism community specifically. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brown. Did I lose Councilman Brown?
No comment, Mayor.
Okay, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. So I wanted to start by mirroring the sentiments of my fellow council members and extending our sincerest condolences to both the Washington and Brooks family. The community lost two pillars, but they both created legacies of which we can keep alive by our actions in the community. So I encourage all of our residents to continue to be involved and be engaged. I also wanted to remind everyone that as the weather warms up, as Councilman Fields mentioned, we'll see more children playing outside. And so with that said, I'm asking everyone to be mindful of their speed when traveling through neighborhoods. I also wanted to thank the South Cove HOA for their Easter basket giveaway. I thoroughly enjoyed spending time with the community and Councilman Pete on what turned out to be a beautiful Saturday morning. And lastly, as we have a presentation this evening that will share information on how we can take advantage of COVID-19 aid and relief monies that have been allocated to support workforce development and reemployment. So this will be a good time to grab a pen and a piece of paper to jot some things down. But if you're not in a position to write things down, you can go back to the town website and see the video and see the information that will be shared through the agenda that's posted publicly. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Welcome to the month of April. It feels like it's been a long winter. The spring came, the winter came, spring came again, and I think that is here to stay. So, for those of you who are allergy sufferers, make sure you're taking what you need to take because the pollen count is continuing to be high. I think the wind from the kite flying season is about to subside, and we should start to get into a little bit of April showers, which will bring more May flowers. But what April also represents here in the town of Dumfries is it represents budget time and budget season, and this is an important time for you if you really want to take notes and pay attention to how we plan and develop the course of what happens in the town. It's all going to be through the guiding document of what we talk about tonight, which is our budget and our capital improvement plans. So want you all to stay close attention. This is a very important meeting for you, the citizens. Phone a friend, tell them to tune in. Vaccines, for those who have still been inquiring about vaccines, we're constantly publishing on our various social media channels, as well as the county posts updates on where vaccine is. I think everybody that reached out to me at this point has received their vaccine. There are now, as of yesterday, have opened it up to the next level category, which is 1C. We aren't putting no pressure or telling you about the vaccines because we're telling you what to do, but we're giving you an opportunity to choose for yourself what's going to be beneficial to you and your family. And so that's just providing the information for those who want and are looking for an opportunity to take the vaccine. This Saturday, we have our Quantico Creek cleanup, which we partner with Keep Prince William Beautiful and some other organizations who are committed to cleaning up the Potomac watershed. It will start at 8:30 a.m. Right here at the Town of Dumfries Community Center. I definitely wanted to just pay tribute to Mr. Clyde Washington, who was a councilman in the Town of Dumfries for over 28 years. He served from 1980 to 1990. I don't know if he took a break in between there, but those are the years they have on file. He served as vice mayor for 8 years. He was not only a pillar in the Town of Dumfries and loved by everyone, he really enjoyed and loved serving the Town of Dumfries. He was a coach at Garfield High School. He was a deacon at Little Union Baptist Church. He served at the Triangle Masonic Lodge. He was a part of the Omega Brothers, and now he's a part of their Omega chapter, as we saw at his service the other day. And so we just wanted to definitely pay homage to Mr. Washington for many years. He is the longest serving councilman in the Town of Dumfries, and we definitely wanted to pay tribute for him. He'll always be remembered to me, for the big smile and the joy he had from when he attended the Mayor's Ball in 2019. And we were able to really honor him and give him his honors and due at that Mayor's Ball. And he was also at that time put in the Congressional Book of Record for his time in service by Congressman Jerry Connolly. So Mr. Washington, Mrs. Washington, we salute you. We are definitely going to continue to keep you lifted up. Second gentleman that we definitely want to pay tribute to, who has also been a political mentor and a help to many around this county, Mr. Hal Brooks. For those of you who don't know, he was the gentleman that will often come sit in our council meetings with the full three-piece suit on, the bow tie, and the nice fresh Stacey Adams when he would come in. And he's been a staple in our meetings over the last 8 years, because he was definitely a mentor. He was a man who bridged the gap from guys like Malcolm X and Philip Randolph, who organized the March on Washington, to being one of the ones to organize early voting throughout this county. And so he passed away as well over the course of the last couple of weeks, and we definitely keep him and his wife in prayers. Closing my words of wisdom, something I put in my tribute to both of these men, is the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but it's to live your life without purpose. These two men, they lived their life with purpose and on purpose, and they left everything into their families, into everybody, in the lives of the people they touch. And so we too have a responsibility not to take the gifts and the talents that we have on the inside of us to the grave, but to give our gifts away to everyone else in the world. So let's share that tribute, and please enjoy. With that said, next on our agenda is reports and presentations. And our first report and presentation, as the Vice Mayor duly noted, is about reemploying Virginians. This is a program that was started last year due to COVID. It was due to expire on December 31st, 2020, but because they didn't have time to exhaust all the funds, we're excited that it was extended to this fiscal year. So we're going to welcome Mrs. Ella Gilliam, Dr. Sam Hill, and I think they had another person with him, Dr. Kress, the NOVA president, all in the building. Welcome to the Town of Dumfries. The floor is yours to give your presentation today.
Well, thank you so much. And I also want to recognize Jennifer Merrill is here from NOVA as well. So they are the subject matter experts. I really am crashing their party just to introduce myself to all of you. Thank you so much, Mayor. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you to the Town Council. We are delighted to be able to share this information with you around the Reemploying Virginians program. I just finished my first year at NOVA in January. most of which has been spent remote. We're excited to think that we'll be able to come back to our campuses in fall. But with my couple moments, I also just want to highlight a couple other programs that I think would be of great interest. One is that some of you may have been aware of last summer's Jumpstart program. So our Jumpstart program provides high school seniors with 2 free, I want to repeat that, free online classes from Nova. They'll be running this summer. And Jumpstart just launched again. If you go to our website at nvcc.edu, you'll see a link right from the front. And we are working with all of the high schools in Prince William County, so all of the students will know about it. But please, if you have an opportunity to encourage some graduating seniors that you know to take advantage of this program, it is effectively an $1,100 scholarship. All students need to do is to meet the criteria to take those college level courses. There's a wide array of courses that are being offered, and the majority of these courses are part of what's called the Virginia Passport. So they would transfer to any university in the state of Virginia, probably with the exception in some cases of William and Mary and the University of Virginia, because they sometimes play by different rules. So, but definitely take advantage of that. And then just a week ago, Monday, Governor Northam joined us at Nova to sign the legislation for what's called the G3 program. And that stands for Get Skilled, Get a Job, Give Back. What G3 is a workforce and career pathway scholarship program that provides last dollar scholarships for students who have a gap between what aid will cover in their programs and what's available in terms of tuition. So it does provide last dollar tuition scholarships. It also, for individuals who are low income, provides funding for wraparound services. So up to $900 a semester to pay for food, housing, childcare. So G3, again, if you just go to the website, nvcc.edu, there's a link to the G3 program on the front of the website. This is directly related to the program that Ella's going to talk about with REV. REV has a time limit. It ends in December of this year. G3 does not. So G3 will always be available. It is actually now part of the law in Virginia that this College Promise program will continue. It is for individuals who are at 400% poverty or below. For a family of 4, that's about $100,000 a year. So certainly it covers the majority of students who would come to Nova. But just wanted to make everyone aware of those great opportunities and then turn it over. I don't know, Provost Hill, if you want to introduce Ella.
Dr. Kress, real fast. So the first program is only for seniors. No, you took out the 11th graders. Last year it was with 11th and 12th graders.
Right. Yeah. In fact, one of the challenges was it was so popular that we had to restrict participation. So we had 2,600 students last year. We're actually looking to have even more students this year. So keep in mind that this is for graduating seniors, 2 free classes. But as always, we continue our dual enrollment in the high schools, which is completely free to students as well. I think, what was it, last year, it was worth about $4 million. If I'm doing this from the top of my head, it might be $3 million in scholarships we essentially gave out in Prince William County, thanks to the free dual enrollment through the high schools.
Thank you. Dr. Hill.
Well, Dr. Kress, thanks for joining us. And I really want to thank the mayor and the vice mayor for making this possible. Mrs. Gilliam and I had the opportunity to meet with the mayor and vice mayor just briefly about 3 weeks ago to talk about the REV program, and they were so excited about it. They invited us to be here tonight. So we're very grateful for that. And I shared this opportunity with Dr. Kress, and she didn't want to pass up the opportunity to meet with the town council. So I'm glad we're all here, and you have the experts in Mrs. Merrill and Mrs. Gilliam. But before I turn it over to them, this is kind of a double pleasure for me to get to see a longtime friend I haven't seen in a long time, in Sharon Pandak. Sharon, great to see you again. Ella, I'll turn it over to you.
So good evening, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Derek Wood, for inviting us today, and Dr. Kress, and to Dr. Hill and everyone else on the panel and your council. Thank you so much for allowing us to share this great opportunity that's afforded to current students and prospective students. So thank you very much for inviting us. I'll attempt to share my screen now and start the presentation, get to the good stuff. Okay. Sorry, can everyone see my screen? Okay, so again, my name is Ella Gilliam. I'm the project manager for the REV program that's reemploying Virginians. Along with me, I have Jennifer Merrill, who's the student support manager for the workforce development. Okay. About last year, in April to be exact, Governor Northam directed that $30 million be given back to support workforce training programs and other high degree and certificate programs. Of that $30 million he'd given to the state, $27 million will go to the community colleges. And this is, again, to get students back into the workforce that were affected by COVID. The high demand fields such as healthcare, the technology, skilled trades, and public safety, and also childhood education. So those are the demand programs that we are focused on, spending those dollars. Oops, sorry. Okay, so who's eligible for REV? REV is for Virginia residents who, again, lost their jobs due to COVID and received unemployment benefits on or after August the 20th of 2020. Okay, it's also for a resident that maybe was laid off from working full time and is now working part time, making less than $15 an hour. That's what we consider the underemployed. And so if a student or a person that you know meets one of those categories, then we would encourage them to apply for REV. And the statement for Virginia residents is listed there as well, how we qualify or quantify a Virginia resident. So what is the REV? REV is a one-time voucher given on a first come first served basis. And that's why, again, it's very important to get this message out to students to let them know to complete the process as soon as possible, because again, those dollars will start to be expended, quickly. It's for current or future students to receive up to $1,500 toward a workforce training program, or up to $1,500 for a part-time student enrolled in a credit program, or up to $3,000 for a student enrolled in a full-time credit program. And later on in the presentation, I will cover some of what those programs are. Okay, so that's quite a bit of money to get students back into the workforce and get them back employed and get them back, back on their feet. Sorry, one more. Okay, so in this portion, I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer Merrill. She's going to go over the fast forward programs that are eligible for the REV certificate, the REV voucher. Jennifer?
Thank you, Ella. Again, my name is Jennifer Merrill. I'm Student Service Manager for Nova Workforce. Nova Workforce is our continuing ed arm of Northern Virginia Community College. And we have a group of programs called Fast Forward programs. The Fast Forward program has actually been in existence since 2016. And Fast Forward, basically, to be eligible for this for these funds, is you just need to be a Virginia resident. That means you are domiciled in the state of Virginia, meaning you've lived in the state of Virginia for at least 12 months or more. And that's the only stipulation for the Fast Forward grant. The Fast Forward grant then pays for 2/3 of the cost of one of these in-demand certification and trainings. So for just being a Virginia resident, you get 2/3 of the cost of the program covered. And then what we do is we couple that, we marry that with the REV program, which pays up to $1,500, basically, which would make all of our Fast Forward programs free if a student is eligible for both Fast Forward and for the REV grant program. And as you can see, a lot of the classes that are listed, the trainings that are listed here are primarily healthcare, the IT industry, as well as trades. We're hoping to add a few more in the trades department as well. That is coming soon, I hope. And so again, this is for Virginia residents. And these are short-term programs. So these last as short as 4 weeks to as long as 3 months and everything in between. So you could complete these preparatory classes that help prepare you to take either national or state exams that are in demand and that will make students marketable in these different just one other caveat, if you know someone that may not be eligible for REV, we have other funding sources for students. So even if community members and or students aren't eligible for REV, for the Reemploy Virginians, we have other funding sources that will help make, again, a lot of these programs free if someone's job was not disrupted due to COVID or things of that nature. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And so as Jennifer had mentioned, that was the workforce side, our short-term programs. These are a couple of the categories in which that the credit side, the associate's degrees and the certificate programs have eligible REV programs under. And there's over 43 of these. So what I've done here is just list the categories. And there's a link to this website that I will cover later on that you'll be able to go into detail and to see how the breakdown is. But there's 43 programs and certificates that would allow you to use REV monies for. Okay, I listed Germanna Community College here because I think in my understanding that Dr. Hill and the Mayor Wood had a conversation about some of the communities your population would attend or may attend Germanna because they have a different set of programs and their demand and their essential areas are a little bit different than the ones that NOVA offers. So what I believe here, we're going to offer you a complete package here. So these are the programs that are offered that are unique to, some of those are unique to Germanna's area. I have a point of contact for that location. If you want that, I will put that in the chat later on. But just to give you the access and to address Mr. Wood's comment, concern that, some of the students may not come to NOVA, but you still wanted to afford them the opportunity to use REV. And these are their credit programs. These are the Germanna workforce programs, a little bit different than our workforce programs at NOVA, the Northern Virginia area. But again, we're offering students a variety of courses that they could possibly take and receive REV monies. Okay, so now that I've covered the eligibility for the program, who can have access to the program and some of the eligible programs, the only thing left to do now that we're all experts into is to get students into these classes, into these programs. I've listed the website here. Once you go to this website, the 4 steps to getting enrolled into REV are on that website. The self-certification form, the student will self-attest that I either was affected by COVID and lost my job, and I'm a Virginia resident, or they will say that I was employed full-time and I lost my employment. Now I'm underemployed. And so once they sign that self-certification form, their name and their information, and then they will select a program on that form of interest. That information goes to a portal, and we have counselors, we have advisors, and what we call navigators and coaches. They will pull names from that, and then they will walk the students through the process. Make sure they have a current application on file, or if they need to do an application, make sure they know how to do an application. If they need to update their application, maybe it's a returning student now that wants to say, hey, now I see a program here that I'm interested in and I can get dollars for it. I'm going to perhaps change my major now to a REV eligible program. We will assist them through that process. Some students have holes on their accounts for whatever reason. We will assist them in getting them to an advisor or a counselor, advisor rather, to get that hole removed or addressed. If they've never done an application for workforce, we have a link here on how to get that application completed. And then Jennifer's team will process them and work them through the process of getting them enrolled into the REV eligible programs. I listed the information for Germanna too, because again, your area covers a wide variety of area. And so that you want to make sure that they can have access if they're going to go to Germanna. We'd rather them come to NOVA, but in case they don't come to NOVA and they want to go elsewhere for another program, that's that link for that as well. Okay, are there any questions for me? You could, I don't know if you have the option of audio or you just want to put them in the chat and I will try to address them all. And I will provide this link. Mr. Rogers said that the link that he tried earlier wouldn't populate properly. So I will send that to you guys again as soon as the presentation is over, because I want you to have access to the links of the programs, links to the persons that can help you through the process and answer questions. So are there any questions?
Mr. Mayor, if I could, just not a question, but we talked about eligibility, and as you spread the word about these opportunities, please encourage people to just reach out to us. Don't worry about the eligibility. The important thing is that they reach out to us, and then we will work with them and determine if they're eligible. And there are other programs we have at Nova, thanks to the stimulus, that might, if Rev isn't it, it might be something else. So we want to discourage people from pre-qualifying themselves. Just reach out to us and we'll find a way to make something work.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Dr. Hill.
All right, so we take off the share screen. There we go. All right, council, did anyone have any questions about anything they saw in the presentation or any comments from the council? Okay, Councilwoman Miles.
Yes, I did have a question, but Dr. Hill addressed it. So thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
I don't have a question. I just have more of a comment. I just want to thank you guys for the work that you're doing. I want to thank you for joining us tonight and providing this information. And I just cannot wait to share it among my networks. And I will be definitely I will definitely be sharing your information. So don't worry, sir, they will be contacting you to find out where they can. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing about this program, this REV program is for any community college in the state of Virginia, right? So all community colleges throughout the entire state of Virginia, if you're in Tidewater Community College or any of those other ones all throughout the state, this program is eligible for that. So that there are the programs there. So which is one of the beautiful things. I think I featured this on a Spotlight Dumfries last year around October, and we talked in detail about this program. But I was glad that they actually extended it because the timeline was short on that December 31st timeline. So anybody else have any questions or comments before Mr. Brown?
I just want to get some clarity on the G3 and the Fast Forward. The Fast Forward program, if I understood it correctly, the state is paying 2/3 of that particular scholarship. Is that correct?
Mr. Brown, your mic was a little bit hard to hear. You have a huge echo.
I've got the question though, if you want me to respond.
Okay, yes, please.
Sure. Yes, and you're absolutely right. The Fast Forward program, the state picks up 2/3 of the cost, and then the student is responsible for 1/3 of that cost of Fast Forward. What Rev would do is actually cover the student's share. So that's the power of Rev. G3 is also applicable to Fast Forward programs. So if a student meets the income threshold for G3 or the unemployment threshold for Rev, that 1/3 of the cost that would have typically gone to the student is covered.
Understood. And is this, again, I think what I understood is that for both of those programs, G3 and Fast Forward, you have to be a resident of Virginia for at least 12 months?
Yeah, you have to meet one in Virginia is called the domicile requirements. And so those are also spelled out on the website. And I'm sure that Dr. Hill can follow up if there are questions, but it does require a certain period of residency.
I have a lot of I guess, associates that are military. So I'm just really trying to get some clarity for them. If they've been in the state for more than 12 months and their spouses may want to attend or obtain one of the certifications. So that's the reason I'm asking this question.
And again, I would again encourage have folks just assume they're eligible and reach out to us. Don't screen yourself out.
And we work with a lot of military students. So we have their guidelines for the military that are slightly different than for others, as they should be. So we do have other guidelines that we follow for military, both for the military person themselves and their family members, so their dependents and their spouses. So we do have other ways. So I would say echo Dr. Hill's, what he just said is to just have them reach out to us, because there's all these other different pathways that we have that we just can't give you all right now. So
we want to cast this net.
One of the models that we have is that,
go ahead.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
and one of the models we have is we're trying to find the yes in every situation. We're not trying to exclude or say no. We're trying to find the yes. So no matter what the ask is, we try to navigate that to find the yes. So again, as everyone has said, and I want to piggyback one last time, is have them reach out and don't assume the answer is going to be no. Have them, we're looking for the yes for that student or prospective.
Thank you.
You know, the other thing I'd like to add, the programs that Mrs. Gilliam shared and the way this works, these are high demand programs. And to be eligible as a college, we have to prove that. So there are jobs in these areas. There are jobs. There's a shortage of people, trained people in these fields.
And two other things I would say very quickly. One is that we also have a program now that's called Achieving Career Excellence. And what we're doing at Nova is paying for the end exam in IT programs. So to become a network administrator, you go through a course of study, but there are also certifications you need to get. And those certifications can cost up to $1,500. And we know students might not have those dollars available. They might also need some test prep for those exams. So right now we are covering the cost. So you can go through one of these programs, and at the end of the day, Nova will pay for you to get certified. And then on top of that, you've heard the CARES Act talked about a couple times tonight. So we also have CARES Act emergency aid grants that are available to students. A full-time student right now at Nova who applies for the emergency aid grant and receives it because of financial exigencies could get more than $2,000 for the semester. So, and those dollars will continue into the next academic year. So again, I just really want to underscore what you've heard is that we want to get to yes, and we also want to support our students. We know this is a really challenging moment for so many people, but we also know that hope is on the horizon, but you really got to have that degree, that certificate, that credential that will connect you to a different financial future. And we want to make that possible.
All right. Well, we definitely appreciate the opportunity to get the word out about education, because we're all about developing and building a workforce right here in our community. And I think education, and we have some educators on our council as well. So it's one of the hallmark principles, which is why we definitely wanted to share this program, and was happy Ms. Thornton actually bought the other program. I think she didn't give a number, but I think last I had spoke with her, there were 50. There were only, I know yours is a limited amount, and I think she had about 50 full scholarships for a bachelor's degree that somebody was sponsoring. And so all we're asking the community is to take advantage of this opportunity. There is a lot of money that's being provided for you to go out and get your degree and get educated, so that we can have a great workforce out here. And that's what businesses and other things are attracted to, when you have a well trained workforce in a degree community. Thank y'all for your time here today, for presenting that. We'll make sure we get that information and the previous information out to our entire council.
Thank you all so very much.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So before we move into our next presentation, I'm going to give the council opportunity to take a 5-minute stretch break to kind of get up. We're sitting at these desks and these computers, and we'll come back to the computer at 8 o'clock. Get yourself something to drink, take a break, and we'll come back. 8 o'clock. All right. We're doing, next on our agenda is our FY22 proposed budget. With our FY22 to 26 proposed capital improvement presentation. Mr. Rogers, how are you today, sir? The floor is now yours.
Thank you, Mayor. All right. Everyone can see my screen?
Yes.
All
Yes, we
right.
can.
Well, good evening. Tonight, it is my pleasure to present the proposed fiscal plan for fiscal year 2022 and the 5-year capital improvement plan for fiscal year 2022 through 2026. I would first like to thank all the staff for their hard work and their innovative thinking that went into creating our fiscal plan. I also want to thank the town council for you all being visionary leaders. And most importantly, I want to thank our residents. It is truly an honor to serve you, and your input throughout this year was critical to our efforts. The previous year was challenging in many ways, but over the past 12 months, we have proven our resiliency, our determination, and our courage. So even as we continue to battle through this global pandemic, we have reason to be excited, for our plan to make Dumfries a destination place still stands. Tonight, I will provide you with an overview of the fiscal year 22 budget, as well as the corresponding 5-year capital improvement plan. So for localities, our primary strategic planning tool is our budget, and our budget is built upon a solid foundation. The budget that is before you was developed in adherence to sound financial practices. All revenues equal expenditures, complying with our legal requirement to have a balanced budget. Structural balance is achieved with one-time revenues being dedicated only in support of one-time expenditures. And unlike several years in our past, no transfers from the unassigned fund balance were used to balance this budget. The published documents provide the public a complete overview of the town's fiscal plan, inclusive of debt service, fund balance, and capital projects. The proposed FY22 capital budget includes projects directly related to community feedback, and they are funded only with grants and pay-as-you-go cash, thus having no impact on our debt capacity. Additionally, we continue to make strides in performance-based budgeting as performance measures are continually refined for each key agency. Proof positive of our solid foundation and our adherence to best practices, the town received the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award from the Government Finance Officers Association for the 2nd consecutive year and only the 2nd time in town history. The GFOA established the Distinguished Budget Presentation Awards program back in 1984 to encourage and assist state and local governments in preparing budget documents of the very highest quality that reflect both the guidelines established by the National Advisory Council on State and Local Budgeting, as well as GFOA's own best practices on budgeting, and then to recognize the individual governments that succeed in achieving that goal. The application and review process is extremely thorough. My staff and I are honored and humbled to have been recognized by the authority on the presentation of financial documents. So now that we've reviewed our foundation and our format, let's get to the numbers. The total proposed FY22 general fund budget is $5.8 million. This represents a 4% increase from the previous fiscal year. Revenue projections reflect growth in real estate and key local tax categories. Revenues from real estate are up 15%, which is partially attributable to new residential and commercial development within the town. Local taxes such as sales tax and meals tax account for over 45% of the town's revenue. In FY22, revenues for sales tax and meals tax are projected to be up 57% and 22% respectively over the previous fiscal year. Also, gaming tax revenue generated solely by the recently opened Rosie's Gaming Emporium represents over 8.5% of our total revenue, making it a significant driver for our general fund. Our projected revenue picture allows us to continue to make investments in our strategic priorities without raising taxes or fees. Now, some may ask, how are we able to grow despite the ongoing and wide-ranging impacts of the pandemic? Well, my short answer is by design and not default. The growth we are experiencing can be attributed to a combination of factors: application of best practices, strategic planning, and federal assistance. At this time last year, I presented a budget for FY21 at the early stages of the global shutdown. And while initial forecasting models had predicted significant increases in revenues, due to the economic uncertainty caused by the pandemic, most of that revenue growth was removed and new spending was delayed. The hard work of town staff to make this pivot in adherence with best practices prevented us from having to manage a shortfall in the current year, keeping us with a solid foundation for fiscal year 22. Secondarily, our strategic efforts to grow and support our tax base allowed our industries to be resilient through the past year. Property values continue to rise, and the creation of additional commercial and residential properties has improved our real property stock. The restaurant industry has faced unique impacts, and while we understand that many continue to struggle, many of the town's food establishments have posted strong numbers, boosting our meals and sales tax revenues. Additionally, the opening of Rosie's Gaming Emporium created a unique and significant revenue stream for the town with exponential future growth potential. And finally, assistance received through federal relief programs has ensured that we not only could continue services in new and improved ways, but also has allowed us to provide relief directly to people, businesses, and nonprofits that needed it the most. So now that our revenue picture is in focus, let's review our expenditure highlights by agency. Times such as these remind us that the operation of government cannot continue without our number one resource, our employees. The previous year budget included enhancements aimed at retaining and valuing our staff, including expanding healthcare coverage and standard cost of living adjustments. Additionally, to remain competitive within the Northern Virginia region, we increased starting pay for police officers. As a result, the department has retained 100% of field officers and has been able to hire 4 additional officers. To continue our investments in our workforce and remain competitive within the region, the proposed FY22 budget includes a 4% cost of living adjustment for all town employees. Our administration agency includes finance, DMV Select Office, our clerk's office, and special events. In fiscal year 22, we have included additional funding to support the implementation of audit recommendations, including making improvements to our billing, tax collection, and software upgrades. In public works, our focus for the upcoming year will be bringing capital improvement projects to completion. Our top priority continues to be the Route 1 widening project. Last July, the town was awarded funding to support right-of-way acquisition and construction. With all the necessary funding in place, the town has partnered with Prince William County to bring this game-changing project to fruition. In stormwater management, funding has been included to support improvements for stormwater control structures, outfall screening, and public outreach. This includes a $75,000 transfer to support capital infrastructure. These efforts will ensure continued permit compliance for our municipal separate storm sewer system. For the governing body, the travel and training line has been increased to support additional training opportunities as reopening phases make in-person gatherings viable. Our boards and commissions will also see increased funding for travel and training to support the required trainings for newly appointed board, and commission members. In the debt service agency for fiscal year 22, a savings of approximately $32,000 is realized as a result of the 2020 refunding of the VML Series 2010K bond. This savings serves as another example of the benefits of adhering to best financial practices. Over the past year, our Department of Planning and Community Development has been quite productive. The department led our 5-year comprehensive plan update and corresponding local zoning ordinance amendments. Additionally, the staff completed a small area plan for Main Street, a critical catalyst to making Dumfries a destination. Enhancements in fiscal year 22 include additional funding for the Destination Dumfries initiative, which will incentivize development, support facade improvements, business attraction and retention, and support community amenities, such as farmers markets and the like. Funding to establish the affordable housing program has been allocated to support the goals of the comprehensive plan through the preservation and improvement of the local affordable housing stock. The establishment of this program will also be a catalyst for development, as well as an example of best practice for responsible community development. And finally, funding has been included to support software upgrades, including GIS programming, which will allow us to display local zoning maps. During the past year, public safety has been at the forefront. As we've grappled with the daily reporting of lives lost due to coronavirus, incidents of racism and violence against communities of color, and civil unrest, even within the hallowed halls of our democracy. This summer, following the death of George Floyd, an unarmed Black man killed at the knee of a police officer in Minneapolis, our police department began a review of departmental policies and procedures, including use of force and de-escalation protocols. As our primary public safety agency, our police department is committed to ensuring that Dumfries is a safe and vibrant community for all people. Our department has a history of positive public engagement and community policing. For the safety and transparency of our officers and the community, this budget includes funding to outfit every officer with new body-worn cameras. Additionally, increased funding for training and employee development has been allocated to ensure our officers remain skilled in law enforcement as well as community policing best practices. Last, but certainly not least for the general fund, our municipal building agency has been added to this year's budget document to reflect the operations and revenues generated through our ownership of this multi-use facility. Last year, my team and I presented one of the boldest capital improvement plans in the town's recent history. The proposed capital improvement plan for fiscal year 22 through 2026 reflects continued efforts to complete the projects already underway. All capital projects in the current plan are funded entirely by grants and pay-as-you-go cash, thus having no impact on our debt capacity. For fiscal year 22, the budget is $100,000, which will establish a major park renovation fund and support stormwater infrastructure. Significant staff time will be devoted to completing the previously approved capital projects, including our game-changing Route 1 widening project. The review and adoption of the town budget is a public process. On April the 1st, the proposed budget was distributed to town council and published on the town website. All of our fiscal documents can be accessed directly from our homepage by simply clicking on the town budget icon. In addition to the fiscal plan documents, we will also share recordings of tonight's presentation, as well as a CIP presentation that will be delivered to the Planning Commission at their April 12th meeting. Also, I invite everyone to join us on April 13th for a community budget Q&A session. This meeting will be held virtually via Zoom, and a flyer for this meeting will be distributed on tomorrow, as well as posted on the town website. I propose the public hearing and budget adoption for the May 4th town council meeting. Prior to the public hearing, citizens can provide feedback on the budget in our comment section located directly on the town budget webpage. Alternatively, comments can be emailed to pio@dumfriesva.gov. So in closing, I'd simply like to reiterate that the fiscal plan for FY22 was completed in adherence with sound financial practices. Our fiscal plan addresses where we are currently and provides a roadmap to our future. Destination Dumfries.
All right, thank you for that thorough presentation of the highlight. I feel like we don't even need to open the book because you kind of touched on a whole lot of stuff, but we're gonna go around nonetheless, and see if council has any questions and any input, and then I'll give my questions and input at the end. So, council, is anyone have any questions or comments on the budget presentation that's before you? I think all of you should have gotten a copy of the budget booklet and the CIP at this point. Any questions? Mr. Pete, to unmute, and then the floor is yours.
Oh yeah, thank you, Town Manager, for your presentation. Good presentation. Looking at the report. Also into that, are we able to provide and include the distinction up in the community part of the Park and Recreations Commission, to where we're able to see what we can do as far as including that into the 22 also?
Yes, sir. I look forward to working with you on putting that together. To reinstitute that would likely require us to also make some updates to the town code. So there's funding within community development that can support the establishment of that. And I would be happy to work with you to put all those necessary pieces together.
It would also have to be something that be brought before this board to reestablish a new commission again, or the reinstated commission that was previously voted and dissolved. So we would have to bring that back up again.
Okay.
All right. Is there any other questions about? I think Councilman Fields, you had something you mentioned earlier. You had any other further questions or anything else?
No further questions. I would like to say that was an excellent presentation. If anyone has any doubts that our town is not surviving and doing well, with this presentation, I think that would quiet down any naysayers that may be out there whatsoever. Our town continues to strive, do better, and do great. Not just better, we're doing great. If you just look back at the awards that our town has won as far as budget presentations, and I give that credit to Mr. Rogers and the staff. He's doing an excellent job. And definitely you can see within the budget and our increases in gains, what the Rosie's establishment has brought to the benefit of our town, what our new housing has brought to the benefit of our town. So we're covering two things here in a great process. You know, affordable housing is here, and it looks great and it's doing great in our community. And we have also the increased revenue from the gaming establishment. It's doing great. So one supports the other and the other supports the other, and we're doing great. So I'm looking forward to being a part of this council and staff as we have great new projects on the way. And with the leadership of Mr. Rogers, I think we're doing just as well as we can do on the eastern side of the county. Our wonderful spotlight is Dumfries.
All right, thank you. Councilman Brown, do you have anything?
Just want to say good job, Mr. Rogers. And the increases are significant. And you said this was by design, not by default. Did the increases surprise you, or you have projected that? Did those numbers surprise you?
Well, the numbers, the 4% overall is where I expected us to be pre-pandemic. So really the increase is just a restoration of where we should have been pre-pandemic. And so I was not surprised with that. I am glad that in the current year, things are progressing positively to support what we thought would be the case pre-pandemic. There was just too much uncertainty out there this time last year. So now it looks like we're successfully coming out of that. And now we're at the level where I thought we would be a year ago.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Miles? No, okay. Councilwoman DeVille?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mr. Rogers, I enjoyed that presentation a lot. So kudos to you and staff for putting that together. That was wonderful. As you know, when I hear the words farmers market, I just go back almost 10 years from when I created that. And that was a passion work, purposeful work. It was so needed in our community. I always considered us a food desert, even with one amazing grocery store here, but we are truly about to be a food desert. And although a farmer's market will not resolve that, it will address some of the issues. Virginia's Department of Agriculture provides a grant program that will provide EBT resources at a farmer's market. It is a healthy food option in our community. And it is also a source of economic development. And it takes work, and I think we can do it. We have to do it. So I'm really excited to hear that. And if you don't have it in front of you right now, if you could just follow up in an email and draw our attention to particular line items in the proposed budget as it is right now, that would address a farmer's market, a market manager, those marketing materials that go with it. Being able to communicate with farmers in Spanish is very helpful to having those vendors at a market. So I would like to see line items and where those, just line items aligned with how much funds are available towards a successful farmers market in our town. I mean, that really, truly excites me. And I also like to point out from our conversation that we had a few days ago, how excited I am about the planting the edible vegetation at Garrison Park, which I hope will be happening soon with this current budget cycle. And I'm happy to know that that is also included in the upcoming budget. So that excites me as well. It's the simple things that we can do to help those who may be voiceless in our community. And I'd also like to see, just for you to take note of, hold on, I had to make a little note on your awesome presentation. Just if you could explain, especially for that community presentation, I'm glad to hear you're having that on the 13th, how a performance-based budget works. Like, how does that apply to the budget you're proposing? Like, how, just basically, how does that work? What is it? And how in real time is it used with our budget being proposed? I'd also like to see more information about the affordable housing program. And that would probably be something, I guess, if the citizens ask, but during that presentation. And GIS is something I've always been interested in. And I know the county has a GIS system available for us as well. So those are my points for now, but definitely the farmers market information, if you can get that to us sometime within the week, I'd appreciate that. So thank you. And kudos to Kimberly as well on this presentation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Oh, thank you. I had a couple of questions. One of the things that stuck out to me in looking at the budget, I was looking at the administration and looking at FY20 actual, moving into FY21 adopted and FY22 opposed. I noticed that the FTE counts remain the same, but the increases are in increments of 3% and then 8%. what is that? Is that salaries? And are we proposing that these salaries are increased based on the revenues that we project are coming in? I want to understand that. Or am I totally like down the wrong rabbit hole with that one?
You asking about cost of living increases?
No, I did not.
I'm just, I was trying to understand it too.
So I think what you'll note is that the budget will always include full funding for all positions, even if they are vacant. But as people may come and go throughout the year, the actuals may look different because of vacancies that occur throughout the year in certain positions. And then, yes, there is also funding for the cost of living adjustments throughout the years too. So that's the change that you're noticing.
Okay, so then the standard cost of living that the town of Dumfries disburses is 4%. That's a bit above national or standard average. I mean, that's great for our staff. I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding that, wrapping my head around that.
Sure. I would say the answer to that is no, that is not the standard for the town. In the last 2 fiscal years, most of the Northern Virginia region has provided a 3% cost of living increase to their employees, and they also had pay for performance metrics that also provided additional increases. If you'll recall, the town only provided 2% cost of living adjustments in the previous years. Mm-hmm. So similar to raising the police officer's salary, I don't want to use the term catch us up, but keep us competitive with the rest of the region. So it's not a set number each year. It's based on what we can afford and what makes sense in each fiscal year. I know that in 19, I think there was no cost of living adjustment at all. So I can really only speak for the last 2 years. Our cost of living has been a little bit behind some of our Northern Virginia peers.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's great that we are making adjustments to remain competitive, because our staff really are who run the town. Council sits on the cameras, but the staff is who runs the town. So I think it's great that you are factoring in competitiveness with regard to retaining and recruiting additional staff. I also wanted to thank you for finding the funds to increase the town council travel and training budget. That's very important for us. And we've been very limited with regard to the amount of training that we are able to undertake. So seeing an increase in that line item is well appreciated. Thank you. That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'll pick up where you kind of left off there, Vice Mayor. Although, last year we only gave it 2%, I do want to give us credit for being the most competitive in our police department and our staff, as being probably one of the only employers that I know in the Northern Virginia area who have 100% employee-funded healthcare. Now, show me another locality in this area. If you were to look at the total cost of benefits, our benefits package far exceeds any other locality. So I just want to make sure that, we talk about when we look at total benefits package, we're doing pretty well as a town and what we're getting. There's no department or staff around here that's offering 100% employee-funded healthcare. When I came on in 2012, boy, we had probably some of the worst healthcare coverage and families and stuff that we were getting. And I think Mr. Fields and Ms. DeVille, they were all, so the coverage that the staff was getting at that time, and what we've come up to this point in far strides has been like night and day. So although we didn't give the full 3 or 4%, that I think relief and just that increase alone and not having to pay that out of pocket, because a lot of people have to pay those healthcare benefits out of pocket, and that equates to I don't even know what percentage of somebody's salary, but that is a huge percentage. I wanted to then pick up on what Councilwoman DeVille was talking about on the performance measures, because that was a great sticking point for me in going through this budget. Is not only do you see where the increases are at, but every department inside this budget, you can go down and see what the target is, and we can actually measure the results of what the target is. you know, and what we want for, let's say, for our DMV and our customer service officer, which is not just doing DMV, but they're taking all of the business, they're having all the transactions come in and out of that DMV. Well, one of the performance measures for our staff is, can they get somebody in and out of there in a 7-minute time frame? And from the time they pull that ticket to the time they get through at that counter with a customer service transaction, not just with DMV, the total customer service in the town. That's a performance measure that's actually written in our budget. And that's exciting, which is going to really start to set us apart with how we're budgeting, how we're able to measure the performance in our budgets. And so that's a very exciting part. In our revenue, you see we're showing our municipal complex revenue in there this year, which is and we showed it in there the last few years. But you can see we've been cash flow positive, and also in the highlight that Mr. Rogers showed, you know, he didn't leave us room to give any comments because he gave all the highlights. But he talked about how we refinanced that debt as a council, and how that cost savings is being matriculated here in the budget, because what did Councilman Brown relay? It's not by accident, but it's by design. It's by plan. Another thing we look at, and Councilwoman DeVille, she talked about this, but the incentives for the farmers market in our planning and community develop, our Main Street vision plan, and to be able to provide funding incentives for a lot of the revitalization as we prepare for our Route 1 widening project, and to be able to begin to try to attract other projects in our downtown and our Main Street area. And so we're excited about that, and I'm glad to see that even our community development department has a performance-based timeline, 14 days to get those applications in and out of their doors. So it's clearly that the public knows, we know, and everybody knows it's a performance for what the time is going back and forth with applications being submitted and zoning requests and those type of things in the budget. Vice Mayor already touched on the training. Police department, body cameras. The only thing I asked when we started to do the funding to acquire our new body cams is I asked that you bring back to the town council and let us be a part of the discussion when we talk about a policy for those body cameras. We want to be a part of the discussion on who has access. One of the biggest things in other localities with body cameras is who has access to the video footage, when it's recorded, and all of those type of things. So please have us to be a part of that process when we start talking about the policy for how those body cameras get used, where the video footage is being stored, and how the public has access to it. Because we see that as major problems in other localities, and we want to be proactive as a council and be a part of that process in that conversation when it comes to the body cameras.
Mayor, if I may interject, I do apologize. I asked in my council comments to have a meeting with the chief. So Mr. Rogers, again, I emphasize within the next 2 weeks, I would like to have a meeting with the chief about that.
Yes, sir.
Again, I just wanted to make sure that the council as a whole is a part of the process when we begin to talk about the policy attached to how those body cameras are being used and what's being used there. On capital improvements and our capital improvement plan, I'm excited about the boldness. Even with the size of the staff we have, we know that we can't complete all of these projects in fiscal year, and that some of these projects carry over from year to year. I'm glad to see that we've included a civil learning center. I don't think we got the opportunity to talk about that. Nobody really talked about that. But to begin a feasibility study to see what we can do to get some type of, I think Councilwoman DeVille almost called it like an incubator, or a place where businesses and things can come, or a learning center where there's equipment that could be formed, or amenities such as internet access, coffee shop, meeting space, study room. So I'm excited to see that as a part of our capital improvement plans, and and looking forward to some of the Complete Streets program, and one that's near and dear to probably my mother's heart, I know she's watching, is street lights over on Tabs, because she's definitely beats me up at least once a month about walking in the dark. I may even take out of my discretionary and just put some little solar lights. Now that I think about it, I'm talking about some solar lights on the street, so at least it's not, they can see on the sidewalk. But those are just some of the comments I wanted to make about your budget presentation, and some of the things I wanted to highlight that, you know, I was excited about as I we're looking for ways to kind of pick it apart and kind of go through there. One of the other things I'm probably curious about, at the end, you do have a nice little index highlighting all the positions in the town, highlighting the history of where our tax rate has been from 2012 up into current time. You know, what we see, we started at 33 cents and we're all the way up to 0.189, whatever. I would love to see what that equates to for each on our property value, being that it only equates for, what do we say, 15% of the budget? I don't remember on that pie chart. But I'm curious to know how much is each penny worth, like in real estate dollars that we acquire. So if you can
Each penny
definitely,
is about $50,000.
so each penny is about 50,000 in revenue. All right, thank you. So you got ahead because I asked you that already. All right, so council, any save rounds or save questions, anything burning down that I've shared my passion? Vice Mayor, I see you.
Thank you. One thing I forgot to mention, going back to the police. So we're looking at the FTE counts proposed for FY22 to remain at 15. Citizens have expressed concerns over when Rosie's will come in. Their projection is January of 2022, which would include the FY22. So with that said, will we make adjustments to our FTE count for the police officers to accommodate the additional work or what have you in that area?
We were intentional about respecting the process that council will go through before that project comes to fruition. And so that will be evaluated with that project, and if approved, adjustments will be made in real time. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we move on, council? All right. Well, thank you all for that. Councilman Pete.
Yeah, I just want to be clear, Mr. Town Manager, that we're including the park and recreations into that we're including a line item for that, for the park and recreations, also to include the materials and resources for them, including a staff member also.
So I don't think it's in this budget. We will have to definitely take a motion.
I know, that's why I'm making the provision to be included into the budget.
So what I could share is that, as the mayor said, that will require an ordinance from the town council, but okay. I can say that there is funding within this budget to support starting reinstituting, or however you phrase that, should that be the council's pleasure. So there is funding to support bringing that back. Yes, sir.
Reestablishing.
Reestablishing. Yes, sir.
That's correct. Okay.
Councilwoman Mouse.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Just to clarify, so Councilman Pete asked about reinstating Parks and Recs and creating a line item, but you said there's money already in the budget. Where will we have to move that money from to recreate Parks and Recs?
Councilwoman Miles, I think that may be it would be easier or more direct to answer that question once the reinstitution of Parks and Rec is before the council, and it would come with a corresponding budget amendment necessary. But as always, budgets are plans. And so while we have a number of activities, particularly within community development enhancements to do things to really implement that Destination Dumfries initiative, what I hear Councilman Pete saying sounds like that will fall into that category. So a specific proposal would be before the town to create that. But I just wanted the council to feel confident that we can adjust to put funds together should that be council's pleasure.
I guess my overall question is, will we have to cut one of our other essential programs severely
in order to establish Parks and Rec, or is this money already there? And
I think it's a little too soon for me to say, as I don't, we don't have a dollar value associated with the Park and Recreation Commission established yet. I just want the council to be confident that we have funding to support these types of initiatives. So if council wants to support that we can do that within the budget that's been presented.
okay, thank you.
Councilwoman DeVille.
Thank you, Mayor. First and foremost, I just echo your sentiments with the benefits package. Having been an employee and had to pay for healthcare for myself and my son before with the town, it was a little over $500. So out of the check.
About 10%. That was about 10% of your.
Yeah. So that's major. That is major. And I know some former staff members who worked with me, that was an issue with them being here. For some, it was a determining factor, to stay. So it's awesome that we do provide that level of a package with health incentives for our staff. Kudos to you, town manager, on that. But also hearing the conversation about Parks and Rec, and also knowing that we have that document where items on the agenda have a 30-day time limit. And seeing that your projection, Mr. Rogers, is to have the a motion for the budget. I believe it was May 4th on that slide. So I'm wondering, it sounds to me that it would be beneficial if Councilman Pete could put something together and have it on an agenda so we can make that clear decision in time for the budget. So I know there's the 30-day piece, but it sounds like this is something that should be allowed before you want us to move forward on the budget, so we can all be on the same page moving forward about the fiscal impacts of Parks and Rec and exactly the vision that Mr. Pete has for reestablishing the Parks and Recs Commission in town. So I guess with that, my question is, if he were, and Mr. Pete, don't let me, Councilman Pete, I'm just speaking, go ahead and clarify when I'm done, but hypothetically, if he were to come up with a vision and submit that document, would it be able to be presented during one of our meetings or maybe the work session coming up, so we have time to see the particular line items and how much money per line item would go to creating or reestablishing Parks and Rec, to make sure it includes a staff person as well? Thank you. Okay. That's all I had. Councilman Pete, if you have to clarify anything I said, please do.
All right, so go ahead, Mr. Pete. You want to add to that?
Oh no, she pretty much hit it on the nail. Of if we can, script some up, Doc, and get this back to council for approval with the right things that are, we want to see in place, so we can establish and get these events rolling for this town.
Okay. I think we've exhausted the entire conversation. One of the things I left out was I wanted to also highlight the pay-go. I think prior to the council that we have now, in previous budgets, any of our capital improvement projects, we've had to transfer money from out of our general fund, or we had to transfer money out of our savings to support those projects. One of the things I want to credit you, Mr. Rogers, and you and your staff on is using one-time money for these one-time expenditures. I.e. last year, we got a new tower lease and we sold some property, and we realized some money from that. We've actually taken the money from that sale and we put it on all our capital improvement projects, which allows us not to have to go into our savings to take out that money. And so that pay-go has been also another huge highlight of this new administration and this new council. And so I definitely wanted to really highlight that and really put an emphasis on those good budgeting practices of not using savings money for some of the projects we want, and having that delayed gratification as we have to do it some of our projects that we have in our different homes and stuff like that. So that's a well done. Any last words, Mr. Roberts, before we move on about your presentation and your capital improvements?
I just want to thank the council for you all's vision. I think that just to piggyback briefly about what you said about the capital projects, the key to the pay as you go also is it doesn't impact our debt capacity. So issuing debt is not a bad thing within itself, but when you're trying to make plans for the future, to have that debt capacity available to you for something major, you want to have that in your back pocket if you can. And so looking forward to going through the process and closing out this year strong and getting the plan all ready to go for fiscal year 22.
All right, next on our agenda is our action items. And our first action item is an ordinance to authorize the town manager to execute a lease agreement for our town-owned property at 17739 Main Street. Mr. Rogers.
Thank you, Mayor. So council, this evening, a new lease is before you for a tenant to occupy the third floor of our municipal building. The tenant lease, the draft lease is attached to the ordinance. A technology firm is willing to join us at market rent, and we are looking forward. I'm looking for a motion to approve this item. Your support on this item would leave us with only a small space also on the third floor remaining before we are fully leased in our building, which is also positive for budgetary reasons.
Absolutely. Is this projected in the current budget, this lease, or no?
Ever so slightly.
Okay. All right. Any questions, council? I welcome a motion.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor, you're going to have to open up a public hearing if you don't mind.
Oh, okay.
Question is fine right now, but you will need to have a public hearing.
Okay. Any questions about the lease before I open this up for a public hearing? Okay, seeing none, if there are any citizens, attendees, or participants on the on our Zoom, raise your hand if you have any questions or want to address the current lease. Okay. At this time, I'm going to close the public hearing portion of this, and now I can welcome a motion from the council.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by the Vice Mayor.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman DeVille on the ordinance to authorize the town manager to enter into a lease agreement for town-owned office space located at 17739 Main Street. Seeing no further discussion, I will call for the question. Councilman Fields.
Aye.
Councilman Pete.
Aye.
Councilman Brown.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miles.
Aye.
Councilwoman DeVille.
Aye.
Vice Mayor.
Yes.
And that's a yes for me. The motion carries 7-0. Welcome, Nebulous. However you say it. All right. Next on our agenda is the FY22 proposed budget and I'm sorry, I jumped all the way back up to reports and presentations. Let me come back down to the action items. Next on the agenda is a motion to refine the council board appointments and the recommendation process. Vice Mayor, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I am making this motion to refine the council board appointment and recommendation process. I would like to direct the town manager to create a process in which the application information is shared with council and council packets, and the applicant's privacy is protected from the internet so that PII info is not publicly facing, such as in the agenda package that's typically shared on the website publicly. I recommend removing any contact information from the public facing application, such as emails, home addresses, phone numbers. In addition, I would like the process to include a closed session discussion for all applications so the council can freely discuss any questions, comments, concerns, or apprehensions about any applicant. And lastly, I would also like that a part of the process include follow-up with applicants to either welcome aboard or, let them know that we are not moving forward with an appointment for them.
So what's the motion? I'm sorry.
So,
You said a lot. I gotta be able to get this here.
okay, so the motion is to refine the council board appointment recommendation process.
Second.
All right, so it's been motion by Vice Mayor and Council. All right, so now discussion. Any discussion on the motion, comments, questions? All right, Councilwoman DeVille?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I agree. We do need a solid, a clear, transparent process as far as the application process and what's expected, like once you apply. So I'd also like to see, in addition to that, just time, SMART goals as far as if someone applies in 2 weeks, they at least receive some kind of confirmation that it's received, stating what we have available. There needs to be a timely fashion in this timeline. Also, I think if someone maybe applies via email or so, then they're followed up within that 2-week time frame to say, hey, here's the form, use this form to adequately apply to serve on one of our boards or commissions. So I think it's important to establish certain times in which we follow up with people once they apply wanting to serve. I'm going through. I think they also should be invited to speak on their own behalf. So whenever a vote is on an agenda for the council to take in regards to appointing someone to a town board or commission, they should be invited to speak on their own behalf and be notified that they could speak during citizens' time about the item on the agenda, especially if we move it to closed session conversations about these appointments. So I also think we need to state in this process a time post-vote when they will be notified of the outcome. And in addition to what was stated by Vice Mayor Nickerson, I'd like to see, once a process is approved, that there be a graphic to go along with it. So you want to serve on a board or commission. Here's what to expect, just so it can be very clear for all citizens who are interested in stepping up and serving our community. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion on the motion? All right, seeing no further discussion, the motion on the floor is to refine the council board appointment and recommendations on a motion made by Vice Mayor Nickerson, second by Councilman Brian Fields. All right, Councilman Pete?
Aye.
Councilwoman Miles?
Aye.
Councilman Brown?
Aye.
Councilwoman DeVille?
Aye.
Councilman Fields?
Aye.
Vice Mayor?
Yes.
And then that's a yes for me. The motion carries 7-0. All right, next on the agenda is our introductory items here. One is an ordinance to appropriate funds for FY 22 in our general fund budget to schedule a public hearing for May the 4th, 2021. Rogers?
Yes, sir. Mayor, all 3 items on the introductory list are all related to the proposed fiscal plan. The first item that you read is for the general fund. The next item, you also have the item related to the capital improvement plan. And one more item, bear with me.
Fee schedule.
Fee schedule. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, the fee schedule.
So looking for a motion to schedule a public hearing for each of those 3 items for May the 4th.
So on the fee schedule, that would be the cap. We could go no higher than that, only lower if we wanted to. I just wanted to make sure everybody knows. So that is the cap we're setting on the fee schedule. All right, so we'll do these one by one. First one is an ordinance to appropriate the funds for the FY22 general fund budget and to schedule a public hearing for 5/4/21.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
okay, probably moved by Councilman Phil, second by Vice Mayor. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call for the question. Councilwoman DeVille,
Aye.
Councilman Fields,
Aye.
Councilman Pete,
Aye.
Councilwoman Miles,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Vice Mayor,
Yes.
Mayor Wood, yes. Okay, the motion carries 7-0. Next, an ordinance to adopt the town fee schedule for a public hearing on May 4th, 2021.
So moved.
So moved by the Vice Mayor,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Miles. Any discussions on the fee schedule? Seeing none. Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Councilwoman Miles,
Aye.
Councilman Pete,
Aye.
Councilman Fields,
Aye.
Councilwoman DeVille,
Aye.
Vice Mayor,
Yes.
Mayor Wood, yes. All right, the motion carries 7-0. Resolution to adopt FY22 through 26 capital improvement plan and to schedule a public hearing on May 4th, 2021.
So moved.
Moved by the Vice Mayor,
Second.
Second.
second by Councilman Pete. All right, any discussion? Seeing none. Councilwoman Miles,
Aye.
Councilman Fields,
Aye.
Councilwoman DeVille,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Councilman Pete,
Aye.
Vice Mayor,
Yes.
Mayor Wood, yes. Okay, motion carries 7-0. All right, you guys are doing good. All right, it is now 8:57. Do you all need a stretch break before we go into our next item? Mr. Fields.
Our next item is a closed session, correct?
That is correct, Mr. Fields.
May I ask permission to join remotely via telephone? Unfortunate circumstances this evening, I have to travel into work, and that's a little over an hour's drive. Is that acceptable, Ms. Pandit?
Pandit.
Yes, sir. If the mayor allows you to do that, and the council, that would be fine. You'll just switch to a phone mode.
All right, so we'll give you, we'll take a 5-minute break or 7-minute break, and we'll convene at 9:05 into closed session. But let's read it into closed session so we can prepare. Ms. Pandek, do you have the
Yes,
certificate?
Mr. Mayor, I do. It's one matter. It's discussion of acquisition of real property for public purposes, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body and legal advice related thereto, pursuant to Virginia Code Sections 2.2-3711A3 and 8.
So moved. I'll move that.
Second.
All right, second by Councilman Miles. Okay. Councilman Pete,
Aye.
Councilman Fields,
Aye.
Councilwoman Miles,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Councilwoman DeVille,
Aye.
Vice Mayor.
Yes.
That's a yes for me. All right, we'll convene in closed session at 9:05.